This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let's see a concept called as working with media resources. Working with media resources in Netweaver Gateway. Working with media resources in Netweaver Gateway. Okay, so media resource means media resources, they are used for what? Exposing the different binary data to what? Consumers. Like suppose if you want to work with any graphic images, okay, then we expose that particular graphics in the form of what? Binary data. Suppose if you take our ABAP environment, we have scripts and smart forms, okay, ALV reporting, okay, where we can display the pictures. Similarly here also, okay, Netweaver Gateway also, we should able to access the media resources. Example for media resources what? Pictures, graphics, okay. So a media resource is accessed via a media link entity. I repeat, a media resource is accessed via a media link entity. Okay, it is accessed via a media link entity. So a media resource basically will have two properties. One is, or I can say, properties of what? Media resource. It will have basically two properties, two important properties. One is the URL, source URL. One is source URL. Another is MIME type. Source URL and what? The MIME type. Okay, so to understand this, let me go to a function module which we already discussed. BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore what? Get detail. So already we know the purpose of this particular function module. What is the purpose of this? It will take the product ID as what? Input. Okay, this function module will take product ID as what? Input, and returns the details of that particular product in the form of what? Work area. So if you see here in the export section, it is returning me what? One work area which will carry that particular product details. So if you observe this product details, there is one property here. Yeah, you can see product underscore picture underscore what? URL. URL of what? Product image. Means what you have to understand is every product, I'll repeat once again, every product will have, might have what? Some picture. Okay, every product will have some picture. So the picture will be stored in some location. So how to refer to that location? By referring to this particular URL. Okay, so I repeat, this function module will take the product ID as input and returns the product details. In that product details, there is one property here called as product underscore picture underscore what? URL. Product underscore picture underscore URL, which will return the URL of the product image. So this field will store the path of the image. Every product might contain what? Picture. Okay, the location of that picture will be stored in this particular URL. So my requirement now is I want to access the same function model. Okay, when I access the product details, I should able to also access the image of that particular product, the picture of that particular product. So since we are working with what pictures, we call it as what media resources. So every media resource will have basically what two important properties. One is the source URL, means the location of the picture, and the MIME type. MIME type means what is the type of that particular picture, whether it is bitmap picture, whether it is JPEG picture. Okay, so the type of the image is stored in this particular property, MIME type, multi-purpose internet mail extension. This property will describe the type of the image, whether it is JPG image or bitmap image or GIF image, whatever it is. Okay, so my requirement is I want to display the product details, which will also include what the URL of the image, and then on request it has to display the image of that particular product. Okay, so let's see how to access. So the important thing you have to understand is this property will hold only the path of the image. It will not hold the image. This particular field, this particular property will hold the URL of the picture. So by referring to that URL, I should be able to access that particular image. That is a requirement. Okay, so let's see how to develop this. So I want to develop a Odata service which has to display the product details, and that product details should include what the product URL image, and it should also display the image of the product on based on the request. Okay, so let's see how to do it. So let me go for a new project. I'll go for a new product. ZEPM underscore product underscore images. I'll be the description. Product details with what image. Let me save it in the local object. So this is my project name. Now let us create the entity. Okay, so as you already know, we can create the entity manually, or in the last class we have seen how to create the entity by importing from what DDIC structure. So here I'll right click on the data model. I'll create the entity. Let me give the entity name as something product. Let us create the entity set also. Right, so this is my entity. As part of this entity, I need to access the product details, okay, which should also contain what image. So the important point here is, since this particular entity, since this particular entity will deal with what media resource, this entity should be marked as what media link entity. Okay, I repeat once again, this particular entity will deal with what media resource. Media resource is what here images. Since it deals with the media resource, this entity should be marked as what media entity. So what you have to do is, you can observe here, there is a checkbox here. As part of the entity level, there is a checkbox called as media. We need to select this particular checkbox media, then only we can deal with what media resource, such as what images. So I'm marking this entity as what media entity. Done. So as part of this entity, let us create some properties. So I'll take some properties like product ID. Let me make it as key property. I'll provide it as idiom.string. Then what are the other properties we know? Type code. Let me give this type code also as what string. Then let me give it as category. Again, I'll choose a type as what string. Then I'll provide the name. I'll give it as string. Then I'll give it as description. Idiom.string. Yeah. So if you see this function module will return the product details. In this product details, you can see one of the field is what product underscore picture underscore URL. Product underscore picture underscore URL. So as part of my entity, let me take one property like a product picture URL, product picture URL. Okay, I'll take it as idiom.string. Okay, so if you want to declare integer, we have the data types here, integer, float, all those things. So you have to select this particular data types. Then I'll give another property. Let me give it as MIME type, means picture type. MIME type. Let me give it as again idiom dot what string. Right. So I created an entity with some 7 properties: product ID, type code, category, name, description, product picture URL, and product type. And it is a product MIME type. What is the type of the picture? Whether it is JPG image or GIF image or what bitmap image, whatever it is. Done. So let me generate the runtime artifacts. Done. No errors are found. Okay, the stubs are generated. Now we need to generate the runtime artifacts. Right, runtime artifacts will be generated. So my requirement is what? If I pass the product ID as input, it has to return me the product details, which should also include the what product image. Okay, so since I'm going to query what single record, what is the stub we need to implement as part of service implementation? What is the stub we have to implement? Get entity. This is the stub which is responsible for returning what single record. So I'll implement this. I'll go to a back workbench. Already we know all these things. It takes a control to data provider extension class. We need to redefine that particular method. Product set underscore get underscore what entity. So I'll put the cursor here. I'll click on what redefine. Okay. So what is the logic we have tried here? We have tried the logic to get the product detail. So for this method, what is the request we are going to send? We are going to send the product ID as what request. So I'll say read the product ID sent to through what URL. So what is the parameter which will carry the product ID? Already we know IT underscore key underscore what tab. So data w underscore key underscore tab like line of what is the internal table? IT underscore key underscore what tab. IT underscore key underscore tab. Let me read it. So in my entity we are having only one key property, which is product ID. So I'm reading that internal table. Read table IT underscore key underscore tab into work area. What is that? W underscore key underscore tab. W underscore key underscore tab with the key. What are the fields? Name and value. So name equal to what is the name of the key property? Product ID. Done. If size of bars is 0, if the read is successfully executed, size of bars will be set to 0. Now what I have to do, I have to get the product details. So what is the function module you have to call? The IP underscore EPM underscore product underscore get underscore what detail. What is the input parameter you have to prepare here? I need to prepare a work area. There is a mandatory parameter. I need to prepare a work area of type so and so. This work area contains a field called as product underscore ID. So let us prepare the work area. I'll just copy that. If size of bar is equal to 0, prepare work area for holding the product ID. Data w underscore product underscore ID type what so also. And w underscore product underscore ID. What is the field in that? Just now we are saying product underscore ID equal to where we are receiving the product ID in this work area. W underscore key underscore tab hyphen. What is the other field? Value. Name value. Okay, so we are referring to what value. Right. My input parameter is done. Then we need to call the BAPI function module. Call the BAPI function module to read what? Specific product details. Done. So what does it do? This function model will return a work area of type what? BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore header. So data w underscore some meaningful name I'll declare w underscore header data type what so and so. Then let us call the function model. I'll go to pattern BAPI underscore EPM underscore product underscore what get underscore what detail get underscore detail. What is the product ID work area we have to pass? W underscore product underscore ID. It returns the product details. I'll receive in my work area. What is that? W underscore header data. W underscore header data. Done. So function mode is called here. Now I'll say if W underscore header data. If W underscore header data is not initial, what I have to do? I have to map the retrieved product details with the return parameter. So already we know in this particular method to which parameter you have to map the details. ER underscore what? Entity. ER underscore entity. So ER underscore entity will refer to our entity properties. Our entity contains how many properties? Some 7 properties. Product ID, type code, category, name, description, product, picture URL, product, MIME type. Done. So yeah, here I'll say ER underscore entity hyphen product ID equal to what is the work area? W underscore header data hyphen product underscore ID. Done. So here the next field in our entity, the next field is text property is what? Type code. Here it is what? Type underscore code. At the function mode here it is type underscore code. Then the third field is category. In our entity also it is category. Then we have name. Here also it is name. Then here it is description. Here also it is what? Description. Done. And then here, yeah, if you go back to your function model, what is one of the field here at the last? product underscore pick underscore what URL. Product underscore pick underscore URL. Okay, done. So in my entity level, this product, what is the property name I got? Picture URL. Product picture URL equal to w underscore header data hyphen product underscore pick underscore URL. Okay, so our entity contains 7 properties. Out of 7 properties, I'm mapping how many properties, how many fields here? 6 fields. What is the other property I declared in my entity? Product MIME type. Product MIME type. But here, this function module, does not return the product MIME type. We don't have any field referring to what MIME type. We are having only the URL of the picture that we are mapping it to what our corresponding entity property, which is product picture URL. Done. So out of 7 properties, I am mapping only what 6 properties. Why? Because the function only having only the 6 fields here. So I should get what the MIME type of the picture also. So let's see how to get the MIME type of the picture. Let me save it. Check it. No incorrect listing. Why was? Yeah, here. User and if. No else. Now here I'll say if er underscore entity hyphen, what is that sixth property? Product picture URL. Okay. If er underscore entity hyphen product picture URL is not initial, if it is not initial, okay, if it is not initial, yeah, what I have to do is somehow to get the type of the picture. Type of the picture means whether it is bitmap picture or JPEG picture or whether it is GIF image, whatever it is, I have to get the type of the picture. So how to get that means, again, those who know object oriented, we have one class which we generally use in our normal app also. What is the class? CL underscore MIME underscore CL underscore MIME underscore repository underscore API. API for MIME repository. API for MIME repository. So in this class, what type of class this is? It's a private class, it seems. Okay. In this class, you can see we have one method. Yeah, we have one method get underscore what API. What is this method? It's a static public method. Since it is public, I can call it outside. Since it is static, I don't require any object. I can call it directly by using what? Class name. It's a static method. What is that method? Get underscore API, which is part of interface. What is the description here? Creates a API instance. Let me check the signature of this method. Before calling any method, you have to check the signature. If you see the signature, then what does it do? There is one optional importing parameter, so I can ignore this. What does it? It returns the object of, it returns the object of which interface? If underscore mr underscore API. So what I have to do is, the next step is, so what is the agenda here? I have to get the type of the image. So the next step is get the API reference. Get the API reference. What is the return type of this method? It returns with the object of which interface? If underscore mr underscore API. So I'm interested to receive it. So I'll declare one reference data o underscore API type ref2. What is that? If underscore mr underscore what? API. So let us call that method. Since it is a global class method, I can use a pattern. I'll go to pattern, ABAP objects pattern. What is the class name? Class name is CL underscore MIME underscore repository underscore API. In this, we have a static method. What is that? Get underscore what? API. Get underscore API, which is part of an interface. Done. It has got one optional importing parameter. I ignore it since it is optional. it returns because what? Receiving. It returns the object of that interface. No? I am receiving in my reference o underscore what? API. Done. Okay, after this, the next step is if o underscore API is bound means what? Is not initial. If it is an object, is bound means if it is an object, or I can say is not initial. Anything is fine. Yeah. So what I got in the previous step, when I call this static method get underscore API, it returns to the object of this interface. So I'm receiving this object now. Let me go to this interface. In this interface, I double clicked on that interface. It takes a control to that interface. Let it take meanwhile. Yeah, it has taken the control to that interface. We can see here in this interface there is an instance method. What is that instance method? Get method. How to access the instance methods? Only by using what? Object. I got the object in the previous step now. What is the object I got? O underscore API is the object of the interface. So using that object, if I access that instance method get, what does it do? What is the description? Supply contents of a MIME object. Let me check the signature here. What is the signature? You can see here. There is a mandatory importing parameter which is accepting what? I underscore URL type character sequence. It is expecting the URL as a mandatory parameter. Done. And what does it do? It returns. Yeah, you can see there are many export parameters. Already we know export parameters are always optional. One of the export parameters is what here you can see, MIME type. It seems MIME type, exporting type or sequence. So what this method will do, it will take the URL of the picture as input and returns the type of that picture, MIME type, e underscore MIME type. So what I have to do now is, let us call that method. So the next step is, the final step is get the MIME type. Get the MIME type. So I'll go to pattern. What is the object I got in the previous step? O underscore what? API. O underscore API. What is the interface name? If underscore MR underscore API. Done. And what is the method in this? Get method. Get method. Yeah, what does it do? It takes a URL of the picture as input. I got the URL in this field now, er underscore entity hyphen product picture URL. So if I pass the URL, it returns many parameters, all are optional. I am interested to receive only the MIME type. I'll receive this MIME type. Directly in my seventh entity property. What is that other entity property we are in? Er underscore entity hyphen. What is it? Product MIME type. Product MIME type, etc. Yes. End if. That's all. Yeah. Let me save it. Check for the syntax. Done. Okay, so it's very simple. Already we know the purpose of this method. It is responsible for reading what? A single record. So for this method already we know we have to pass the key property value as input. So what is the key property value I am passing? I am receiving in my work area and I am preparing the appropriate input parameter, passing that to what? Our BAPI function model, which returns the product details. In that product details, there is one field which will hold the URL of the picture, So once I get the URL of the picture, based on the URL, I should get the type of the image. So how to get the type of the image? There are the two steps. You have to call the static method get API of so and so class, which will return the reference of so and so interface. Using that interface reference, you have to call the get method, which will take the URL of the picture as input, returns a MIME type. returns a MIME type. Done. Let me save it. I'll debug, there will be more clear. Yeah, put the breakpoint here. Breakpoint is set. Better we regenerate the runtime artifacts. Yeah, they are regenerated. Done. Now, since this is the first time, I need to register with the gateway client. I click on this and say register. Yeah, this is my service name, which gets registered with the gateway client. I'll save it in the local object. Done. Now let us maintain it. I'll right click on this and say maintain. So I'll choose product set. So I know one of the products, HT-1030. HT-10. So what is the input I am passing? Product ID as what input? What is the ID of the product? HT-1030. Let me execute this. Done. It is stopping there. Okay, I'll say F5. I'm not interested in this. So what is the product ID we are going to pass? That is the product ID, and we are trying to call the function module. Okay, so it returns a work area. So I'll say F6. Done. So if you see here, okay, I'm not interested in the other properties. If you scroll down, yeah, good. You can see here there is one field here, product underscore picture underscore URL. So in this location, we are having the image. Okay, we are having the image. Okay, so I have to get the type of the image. How to get the type of the image? You see, if it is not initial, this anyone you know, if it is not initial, I am mapping it here. Done. So if this is not initial, we are getting the reference of this interface. I'll say F6. Yes, I got the object of the implementation class. If it is bound, yeah, I'm trying to call the instance method get, which will return the MIME type. So if you see here, ER underscore entity, I'll say F6. Okay, let me double click on this. Yeah, good. You can see here what is the MIME type here? Image slash JPEG image. So it's a JPEG image itself. Good. It's a JPEG image. Okay. So by implementing this method, we got the product details. So when I say fit, I got error. Or I got invalid or no mapping to system data types found. Invalid or no mapping to system data types found. Okay, let me just go back. I got the error. I didn't got the product details. Why like that? Let me open this. Product MIME type I took. Okay, idiom.string. This is fine. Okay, done. Let me go to the implementation once again. Product ID, type code, category, name, product ID, type code, category, name, description, product picture URL. Done. Okay. Product MIME type. Product, if I am passing the product here, product MIME type, ER underscore entity hyphen product MIME type. Okay, no problem here, but why I'm not getting that? One second. I'll do one thing. Let me go back to my entity. I'll remove this checkbox. I'm removing the checkbox media. Let me check whether I'll get the product details or not. I'm removing that media checkbox as part of the entity. Maintain. ST-1030. Done. Execute this. Okay, this is fine for me. F6. F6. Type code I got. Category I got. Name I got. Description I got. Product picture URL also I got. Okay, done. Then this is fine. Then we are receiving that. Type in product MIME Type. Yeah, image/jpg is also fine. F8. Good. Okay, so I got the product details. Good. Okay, I got the product details. I got the URL of the picture. I got the type of the picture. Now what is my interest now? Okay, these are the product details, but I want the image of the product. Okay, I want the image of the product. So see what I'll do here. I'll say here, try to understand. Whenever you want to refer to the image, say slash at the end I'll say slash dollar value. Okay, I'll say slash dollar value. Okay, let me try to execute. Hello, done, done. What is the error I got? Good. The request URI. What is the error I got? The request URI is not valid. Not valid. The segment before dollar value must be good. What is the error I got? The segment before dollar value must be a media link entry. Must be a media link entry. So dollar value means dollar value is for referring to what? Media link entry. Media link is what? A picture. So it is saying that to mark our entity as what? Media link entry. So how do you mark it here? Go back to your entity. Yeah, in your entity, select the checkbox what? Media. Okay, so check it. Activate this. Done. It is activated. Now let me try to execute this. Right click on this. So I marked it as what? Media link entry. Now I'll say maintain. Get with client. Done. Yeah. Here also product set. What is the product which we know? HT-1030. Okay, slash dollar value. So earlier when I'm doing this slash dollar value, I got an error saying that we should mark that as what? Media link entry. Let me try to execute now. Let's see what is the error I'll get, or when I get any response. I got some error here. Good. What is the error it's saying? See, the method get underscore stream. The method get underscore stream is not implemented in the data provider class. Am I clear? The method get underscore stream is not implemented. So what you have to understand is whenever you are referring to the, how do you refer to the content of the picture? By using the query option called as what? Dollar value. So if you want to get the content of the picture, that is the image of the picture, I must implement which method itself? Get underscore stream method. Get underscore stream method. So what I have to do is, let us go back to our data provider extension class. Okay, in the runtime artifacts, I'll go to data provider extension class. So what is the method I need to implement itself? Get underscore stream. So let me check where it is available. Get underscore stream method. Yeah, you can see we have the method what get underscore stream method. So I need to redefine this method. Okay, so I'll put the cursor in this get underscore stream method. I'll click on what redefine. Done. I'm trying to redefine. Done. So you can see here. So what is the purpose of this method? The purpose of this method is to read the content of the image. To read the actual image, we need to implement this method. Okay, but in order to read the content of the image, I should get the URL of the image. I should have the URL of the image. Understood? If you want to read the content of the image, I should have the URL of the image. Already we got the URL in the earlier method. Now. What is that method? Product set underscore get underscore what? Entity. Try to understand here. Here in the same data product extension class, already we implemented a method what? Product set underscore get underscore entity, which will return what? Which will return the URL of the image including the MIME type. So here getStream method is responsible for what? Reading the what? Reading the content of the image. So the first step I have to do is here get the URL of the product. So I did not write the logic again. Already the logic is written in that method. What is that method? Product set underscore get underscore entity. So what I'll do is okay, I need to call that method now. So I need to call this method. What is that method I have to call? Product set underscore get underscore entity. Blindly I cannot call the method. What is this method? Instance method. Okay, product set underscore get underscore entity. What is the signature of this method? If I go to parameters, yes, it takes all these parameters: entity name, entity set name, source name, it seems IT underscore key underscore tab, all those things. Good. What does it do here? See, it is returning one parameter. Here there it is returning two parameters. Exporting parameters are always optional. One of the parameters is what? ER underscore entity. It is of type what? It is of type our entity. Yeah, it is of type so and so. So what I'll do is let me copy this, Control C. See the technique here. Okay, go back to data product extension class. Data what? W underscore entity type what? So and so. Type so and so. I'll call that method. So a method of a class can call what? Other method of the same class. I'll go to pattern, above objects pattern. Okay, so again, if you go back to object and concept, we can use me keyword. Me refers to what? Me refers to what? The current object. So what is the class name here? Class name is what? ZCL underscore ZEPM underscore sorry ZEPM underscore what? Product underscore image underscore what? DPC underscore extension class. In this method, in this class, what is the method I have to call? Product set underscore get underscore what? Entity. Somewhere at the last it is there. Product set underscore get underscore entity. Understood? I'm using what? Me keyword. It's an instance method. How do you call instance methods? Only by using the object. So instead of recreating the object, in here we are in the same class. How to refer to the current object? Me keyword. So call method me. It is having some exception maybe. Let us handle it. IV underscore entity name. So you can see here this get stream method also contains the similar parameters. One of the parameters is what? IV underscore entity underscore name. So I'll pass them as it is. IV underscore what? Entity underscore name. Then entity set name. Do any parameter for that? Yes. IV underscore entity underscore set underscore name. What else? Source name. Do any parameter for that? Yes. IV underscore source underscore name. IV underscore source underscore name. Then IT underscore key underscore tab. Do any parameter? Yes, we have IT underscore key underscore tab. Done. Then what else? Request object, these are optional. I'm removing it. Navigation path is mandatory. Any parameter for that is there? Yes, IT underscore navigation underscore path. Done. And it exports, so export become import. Importing, yeah, it is returning me the work area. I'll receive this ER underscore entity in my local work area. What is that? W underscore what? Entity. That's all. And it might raise some exceptions. So better we provide the cache blocks. That's all. Okay, so I repeat this once again. What is the why we are implementing the get stream method? See, blindly I cannot implement. Always remember to get the image, we have to use what query option? Dollar value. So as part of my URL, when I use dollar value, it was giving an error saying that the method get underscore stream is not implemented. So what is understanding? Get underscore stream is the actual method which is responsible for returning the content of the image. So that's the reason I'm trying to implement that method. In order to implement that, in order to get the image of the product, I should have the URL of the product. How to get the URL of the product? Already that logic is written inside the other method of the same class. Now I'm calling that method. Okay, I'm calling that method by passing the necessary parameters. It expects these mandatory parameters. So what are the parameters are there for this get string? Same parameters I have to pass. Entity name, entity set name, everything I'm passing as it is. It returns me the work area. This work area contains what? The what? This work area contains the URL of the product. So here I will say if what is that? W underscore entity hyphen what is that? The property product picture URL. Product picture URL is not initial. If it is not initial, yeah, rest of the logic already we know. Yeah, what is this logic here? Get the same thing. Get the API reference. Get the API reference. How to get the API reference? We have a class which already discussed CL underscore MIME underscore repository API which contains a static method what? Get underscore API which will return the object of this interface. If underscore MR underscore API. So here I have to say data O underscore API type ref2 if underscore mr underscore API. Right? Let us call that method, call that static method. What is that method? CL underscore MIME underscore repository underscore API. In this, the static method I need to call is what? Get underscore what? API, which returns the object of that interface I am receiving it. Yeah, I got the object O underscore what? API. Done. O underscore API. Done. Then the next step is if O underscore API is not initial. This is important. If it is not initial, yeah, the next step is get the MIME type and the value. Get the MIME type and the value. So earlier what we did here, see, in the earlier case, we got the object of this interface. No? We got the object of this interface. Using this object, I just called which method? Get method. where we are passing the URL as input and we are receiving the MIME type. But here I am also interested in the content also now. I am also interested in the content of the picture. So what is that method I have to call? Method I have to call the same method, but there are another exporting parameter we need to consider. What is that? E underscore content exporting type what? X string, hexadecimal string. This is called as binary data. Okay, X string. Okay, done. Okay, X string I want, and I want what? MIME type. Now, X string and what? MIME type. Hmm. Okay, E underscore content I have to consider, and MIME type also I should consider. Okay, okay. So what I'll do for this is here. If I go to ABAP dictionary, we have an types declaration. One second. Ty underscore s underscore media underscore resource. Let me cross check this. One second. Ty underscore s underscore media underscore resource. Okay. So otherwise, okay, not a global dictionary. One second, please. This is data product extension class, no? Okay. Let me go to almost done. Just hold on. I'll go to model provider class. Yeah, this is my model provider class. In my model provider class, let me go to types section. Okay, let me go here. I'll go to model provider extension class. One second, let me go back to my entity. Okay, marked as media entity done. Let me go back to this. Get stream method. So it will be not initial. What is my requirement now? If I call this method, I'm interested in the content also. Content is what type? Existing. And this is CCP. Okay, otherwise I'll do like this. One second. Data W underscore media type ty underscore s underscore media underscore resource ty underscore s underscore media underscore resource. Okay, media type information done. One second, let me open this. I clicked on this button. MIME type and value. Okay, MIME type and value done. One second, let me just do it first. Okay, now I got the object now. Okay, O underscore API. So I'll go to pattern. What is the object I got? O underscore API. What is the interface name? If underscore MR underscore API. What is the method name I have to call? Get method. Done. What this get method will do, it takes a URL as input. What is the URL I got here? What is the work area? W underscore entity. No? So W underscore entity hyphen. What is the URL property? Product underscore picture URL. Product picture URL. Done. It returns me the content. So content I'll receive inside E underscore content I'll receive inside. What is the title here? W underscore media. W underscore media. Okay. Hyphen. What is the field in that? Value. Done. It is not required. Then MIME type. MIME type I'll take it as W underscore media hyphen. W underscore media hyphen. What is the other field in this? MIME underscore type. MIME underscore type. Okay. Value is what type? Existing. MIME underscore type is type string. Okay, done. MIME underscore type. Done. Okay. Then I think this is sufficient. Now I need to return the type and content of the image. So here I have to say return the type and content of the image. Content of the image. Done. How do you return? Again, I need to check for one method here. In the same data product extension class, there is a method copy underscore data underscore something is there. One second. Yeah, copy underscore data to ref. It's a instance public method. Okay. And what is the signature of this method? If I go to parameters, we take some parameter is underscore data, which is mandated type any, and cr underscore data is type ref to what data. Type ref to data. Is underscore data is under importing. Cr underscore data is under changing. Is underscore data is type any. Cr underscore data is expecting the object of our data. Okay, done. Okay, done. So here I'll say this little lengthy. It's very simple. Let me debug this. So here I'll say what is the method called copy underscore data underscore to underscore ref. It contains one importing parameter. Importing while calling becomes exporting. Is underscore data equal to where is the data in our case w underscore media, and what is the other parameter changing parameter changing. What is that? Cr underscore data equal to it is of type ref to data. Do any parameter which is type ref to data in this good. Type ref to data is there here. What is this? ER underscore stream. ER underscore stream. So just ER underscore stream. That's all. Let me save it. Check for the syntax error done. I'll debug, then it will understand. I'll put the breakpoint here. I'm putting the breakpoint in get underscore stream method. I'll also put the breakpoint in this method. Yeah, all the breakpoint is all done. We activate, generate the runtime artifacts. Done. Now, first what I'll do is yeah, see the request URL here. I'll directly give here and directly give ht-1030. So I'm not using the query option what dollar value. So try to see the intelligence of the tool. I'm not using any query option dollar value. I'll say execute. What happens now? Good. It is calling which method? Product set underscore get underscore entity. So I'll say F8. Done. I'll set F8 here. Done. So I got an error invalid or no mapping to system data type found. Okay. So here what I'll do is I'll say HTTP1030 slash I'll say dollar value slash dollar value. So see now when I execute this, now see where it is going. Directly it is going to which method? Get underscore stream method. Earlier we are not use that dollar value, it is not going to get stream method. The moment I use dollar value, it is directly taking the control to what? Get stream method. In the get stream method, what you are doing? We are calling the method what? Product set underscore get underscore what? Entity. Product set underscore get underscore entity. Okay, so I'm just skipping this method. I'll say F6. Yeah, done. It is going there. I'll come out of this also done. Yeah, here if you see here, I got the URL of the picture. Then I'll get the reference of the API one. Done. I got the reference. Done. Yeah, now I'm getting the MIME type and the value. So if you see this, done. So you can see here, I got some existing here. Value is what type here? Existing means hexadecimal string, means characters from A to F and digits from 0 to 9. So this is the field which will actually hold the content of the image in the form of what? Existing, in the form of hexadecimal string. Now how to return that? We have to call a method called as what? Copy data to ref. What is this method? This is the method which is actually going to return the response. I'll say F8 here. Am I getting or no? Good. So I got the, yes, I got the what picture of the image. I got the picture of the image. I got the picture of the image. I'll do one thing. Let me change it to 1010. I don't know whether this product is there or not. Execute. Yeah, again it is going to what get underscore stream method. In this method we have to call which method? Product set underscore get underscore entity. Why we have to call the method? Because this is a method which will actually return the URL of the picture. So I'll get the URL. I'll get the URL. I'm saying F7. Done. I got the URL of the image. Yes, I got the URL. Then based on that URL, I have to get the API reference. Once I get the API reference here, you have to pass the URL as input. It will return me the content. It will return me the content in the form of what hexadecimal string. Now we need to return this to what? We need to assign this to what method? Copy data to ref. This is the method which is actually responsible for displaying the data in your response. When I say F8, did I got a different image now? Yes, I got a slightly different image. Listen, the product is what changed. I got the image here. Okay, now I'll do one thing. Dollar value. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll go back to my entity. In my entity level, I'll remove the checkbox what media. Let's see what happens. I am removing the checkbox media as part of your entity. Yeah. Now I'll try to read the value of that particular image. HT-1030 slash what you have to give $value. Okay, so I'll say execute. And now oh, the control itself is not going to that method. Here only it is giving an saying that the segment before dollar value must be what? A media link entry. So I can use dollar value only if the entity is marked as what? Media link entry. Okay, so that is the prerequisites. Compulsory have to mark it as what? Media link entry. Then only I can deal with what? Media resources like what? Graphics kind of thing. Okay, so if you want to get the image, compulsorily you have to implement this method also, because this is a method which is actually getting the URL of the image. If you have the URL only, so at the end here somewhere here I got what URL of the image. Based on this URL only, I'll get the content of the image. So how to actually read the content of the image? In the same data provider extension class, we have a method what? Get underscore stream method. Whenever we use dollar value option, first the control goes to what? Get underscore stream method. What is the purpose of this method? The purpose of this method is it is responsible for reading the content of the image in hexadecimal format, in the hexadecimal string format. So if you want to get it in the image format, again what you have to do after getting that hexadecimal string format, in the same data product extension class, there is a method called as copy underscore data to what? Ref. Somewhere here we are seeing copy underscore data underscore to underscore ref. This is a method which is actually going to return the content. Okay, copy. What is the logic in this? We are not bothered about that, but we need to map our what the content of the image to this particular method. Copy underscore data underscore to underscore. That's going forward the next 2-3 sessions. We'll be seeing this method extensively. Copy underscore data to a ref. This is the method which is actually going to return the response. So basically here, when I use dollar value, directly it goes to which method? Get string method. But in order to read the content, we require what? URL of the image. How to get the URL of the image? You have to call that stub method product set underscore get underscore entity which is going to only return the URL. Based on that URL, we have to read the content. So what is the logic I wrote in this here? This is self-understanding. I'm just calling the method of that class which will return me the URL. I'm passing that URL as an input to which method? Get method, which will return me the MIME type, and will also return the content. I don't think MIME type is mandatory. So let me just comment it and check. I'm just receiving the value. I'm not receiving the MIME type. Let me check whether it's really required or not. Yes, we'll see that upload and download also. As of now, what we have done, we are just accessing the image. For upload and download is not SC78, there is a different procedure for that. Okay, what is that procedure? We'll understand in the coming sessions. I'm just removing that MIME type. Let me check whether I'll get the image or not. Dollar value, dollar value. When I execute this, it directly say fit. No, I'm not getting. So compulsory, I need to receive that MIME type. Otherwise, it is returning in binary format. So MIME type is mandatory. So we need to instruct the tool what type of image it is. So unless it did not give me any error, but it is returning me the data in what binary format, raw data format. Okay, so that is mandatory. Okay, so more about that copy data to ref method, we'll see it in the coming classes. In the next 2 3 classes, we'll be using the same method again and again so that you'll understand the signature of that method. So here I need to receive the MIME type also. Then only it is returning me the content. Otherwise, it is returning the content in what? Binary format, not readable format. Okay, so simple understanding, this is very important. How do we in Netweaver gateway, how do we access the images? How do we access the images means what is the query option we have to use? Dollar value. Whenever we use dollar value, we will call which method? Get underscore stream method. Okay, that get underscore stream method, you have to write the logic to read the content of the image. To read the content of the image, I require the location of the image. I mean to say the URL of the image. How to get the URL of the image? By calling this stub method product set underscore get underscore entity, which takes what product ID as input and returns the product details, which includes what URL. So if the URL is available, if the URL is available, see sometimes this if condition may fail means every product may not have the URL. So if it is having URL only, if condition is not satisfied. So if you are having the URL, we are just calling the method what? Get method, which takes the URL as input and returns the content and the MIME type. Okay. In order to display that image, compulsory you have to call this for the copy data to ref. I'll do one more experiment. I'll just comment this. So what I am doing here, I'm getting the MIME type and the value, but I'm not calling the method what? Copy data to ref. So I want to understand whether the image is displayed or not. So we have to do all these kinds of R&Ds so that we'll understand what are the minimum things we have to call. I'm just commenting that copy data to ref. When I execute, I'll say fit. I'm not interested in this. Fit. Resource not found. Resource not found for the segment what product. So compulsory I have to call that copy data to ref. Copy data to ref compulsory I have to call it. Otherwise it will give me what? Error. Okay, so we'll see more about this method in the coming concept like we have a concept called as function import. Okay, in that function import concept also we'll be using that method extensively. Okay, so this function import concept will start covering most probably from tomorrow onwards. Right, so regarding upload and download also, I'll show you one example that will be more clear. Here I am referring to what? A standard image. We have a WAPI function model which will return with the product details, which includes the URL of that particular product. But to actually read the content of that product, content of that image, you have to use what query option? Dollar value. Dollar value. And if you're using dollar value, the entity should be marked as what? Media link entry. Media link entry. Otherwise, I cannot use the query option what? Dollar value. And any questions, please ask me.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Hello.
irrespective of the location, whether it is in the local system, whether in the application server, we are not bothered about that. We have to get the URL. That URL we have to pass it to that particular method, what get method. That URL may refer to local system or it may refer to application server. We are not bothered about that. Is it clear, Venkatesh? Okay, so once we have the URL, that URL may refer to what? Local system or may refer to application server. So in this case, if you have seen the debugging, the URL is starting with slash SAP so and so. So the understanding is it is available in the application server. Yeah, Devashish, tell me.
Sir, when I practice in my local system and register the Odata, at that
Mhm.
time I am getting one error alias is not found.
Alias is not for means the basis consultant has to configure that. First of all, you tell me whether it is a
Hmm.
rental system or your company system.
It is my company system.
Company system will you send that screenshot to the basis consultant. He has to
Okay.
create one RFC destination. It is not our job. It is not our
Sir,
discussion also.
actually, sir,
Hmm.
already I have checked the RFC destination is there.
Hmm.
So system alias is not found. So
Hmm.
in the F4 also we are not getting these values.
Hmm. So that you have to contact with the basis concern only, Devishesh. Even I am also not sure about how to create that alias. RFC destination, yes, we can create in SM59, but after that
Uh-huh.
you have to configure that alias name also. So that job, I am not aware of that.
Okay, sir. Another
Hmm.
question is, sir, how to upload the data into the application server? How to fetch the record from the application server to UI5? So how to do that? And then what are the procedures?
Can you repeat the question?
Sir, how to uploading the all the record to the application server L11? Then how to retrieve the data? It is the same procedure in the OData or any other techniques is there?
First of all, see what is the purpose of OData? To perform what crude operations. Na?
Okay.
Understood?
Mm-hmm.
You are talking
Mm-hmm.
about what data migration.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Okay, so data migration, normal migration techniques you have to use. It is not related to OData. Now, OData is only for what? To perform what crude
Production.
operations. So,
Okay.
other data migration will remain same. BDCs, everything will be same, remain same. If you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about Netweaver gateway, it is only to perform the database operations. What are the database operations? We have only four operations. That four operations we are able to do.
Okay.
Understood? But data
Okay.
migration will remain same. Whatever we have done it in BDC, LS, that will remain same. There is no alternative for that.
Okay. Sir, actually, another is sir, sir, please give me one example, multiple tables, 7 to 8 tables. So how to fetch the data into that scenario. So please kindly provide one program so that it will be easy for me.
Can you please repeat once again? What is the question?
Uh, my question is, please design one report program. It is connected to more than 7 to 8 field, 5 to 6 six tables. So that we are doing the inner join concept. So with one final table is there.
No, no, if you are talking about OData service, right?
Mm-hmm.
OData
Mm-hmm.
service is responsible for reading the data, right? So
Okay.
as of now, what we have done is we have implemented the OData service to read the product details, okay? To read what specific product details, okay,
Mm-hmm.
or to read what all product or multiple product details, okay.
Yes.
And how you are doing it by calling what some BAPI function model. Here also we have a BAPI function model. Here also
Mm-hmm.
we have what some BAPI function model.
Function
So
model.
your
Yes. Yes.
question now is suppose you want to develop a OData service which has
Mm-hmm.
to fetch the data from what
Multiple
dependent
tables.
tables, from
Yes,
dependent
exactly.
tables, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that will come in a concept called as navigation between entities. So going
Okay.
forward we have a
Okay.
concept called as navigation between. In that you will get this scenario.
Okay. 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 Got
It
it.
can be two
Thank you.
tables, three tables, or 100 tables. The concept remains same. The agenda
Okay.
is what to fetch the data from dependent tables. Suppose if you take
Okay.
sales orders, I may
Uh-huh.
I may want the header data as well as what item data. So I need to get the data
Yes.
from what two different tables. So for
Okay.
that I need to create multiple entities. I need to link those entities. That is called as navigation between entities.
Okay.
Coming examples will be there. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right, and I've shared the recordings and materials till the last session. I think the last session was on 13th December. I've shared the material also today morning. Okay, this recording and material also I'll share it today. Right, any other questions? Chalo then, so I'll wind off. We'll continue tomorrow with the